And I hope that there wouldn't be any situation where you really have to choose
Yeah.
between your own family, your biological family or whatever family you grew up with,
Yeah.
and the person you are married to, because it can be very dicey. Are you happily married, single and searching, or single and not searching? You're in the right space. We're all students of life, and we're here to celebrate and explore the secrets of long-lasting relationships and marriages.
In each episode, we dive deep into topics like communication, family dynamics, parenting, finances, health, and wellness.
Join us on this exciting journey as we create stronger, healthier, and more fulfilling relationships, one episode at a time. Welcome to Life on Stereo.
Hello, Lifers. Welcome to Life on Stereo. We are your hosts, Kingsley
and Judith. We are so excited to have you here once again. Thank you so much for all of your support, guys. You guys are amazing. Thank you for the messages, the encouragement, sharing with friends, and giving us feedback. We are appreciative. We are so grateful for that.
It's been amazing, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been great so far. And your messages and your encouragement keeps us going. So, hey, when you say a prayer, say one for us, okay?
Yep.
Yeah. So,
what do we have today?
Today we have another amazing episode for you all, for us all. Remember, we are doing this together, okay? So, we're encouraging ourselves, challenging ourselves, and motivating each other to have the best of relationships and strong families and connections and marriages. Okay, so today our topic is going to be about building bridges, nurturing strong in-law relationships, or better still, in love relationships. Okay. So, yeah.
Didn't see that one coming.
Yeah. Of course, in-law works because, by most of us, sign papers. So our bond is recognized legally, right? However, I think that in love is a good description of, these relationships, because we are bound by love, not by, state laws and all that. It goes beyond that.
So there are those relationships you sort of come by because you fell in love with someone.
Yes. So we came by, those relationships come by love, right?
Yeah.
It's a love connection. Yes. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I believe that it is important, especially when it comes to marriage, right? Because marriage goes beyond just the two individuals involved. Okay, especially from cultures like the cultures that we come from.
Yeah.
We are both Ghanaians, and most African cultures have similar cultures, like Ghanaian cultures that is family inclined, and more like extended family inclined.
Right.
So it's not just about the two people who have gotten married. For example, in the culture that we come from, we're both Akans, one of the ethnic tribes in Ghana. And in our culture, we believe that it is not just the two individuals marrying, it is two families marrying. Yeah. So the woman becomes part of the man's family, and the man becomes part of the woman's family. So if it goes beyond us, then it is also important to recognize who are these other people that are stringing along this love connection. Yeah. Okay, and that is why we believe it's important to talk about. We can't run away from it. Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, it's important because when people are deciding to get into a marriage, sometimes they would try to assess how the potential or future in-law is treating them, or are they nice people? Yeah. Do they accept me? Yeah. So it's even a criteria that people use to actually go into marriages.
I will not cut you short right there. Not going far, myself.
Right.
It was a criteria. I wouldn't say it was important for me. Like, I prayed, and in my heart, in the deepest place of my heart, I hoped to have a spouse or a man,
Right.
whose family would love me, right?
Yeah.
And not just love me, but whose family would with whom I would click, have a good relationship with.
Yeah.
It was important for me.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's important for you guys out there. Let us know in the comment section if the your partner's relationship with his family, or how do you consider the family that you're going to? How is your connection in your culture? How is it recognized? Do you personally, or does your culture, extend or give priority, not priority, but importance or weight to your partner's family?
Yeah. And I mean, some people weigh these things before getting into marriages, but for some of us, we may already be in relationships or marriages, so it is important that we look at the dynamics and how to actually act or not act, how to embrace the in-laws and build a better relationships with them. And I mean, sometimes it can. I have seen interesting in-law relationships in movies.
Sure.
Nigerian movies, and some of these things, when I watch, I'm like, wow, that's like, it can be a very toxic relationship between in-laws. And let's get real, like it's not always going to be like that. You have nice in-laws. Some people might not have the nicest of in-laws, but how do we go around that? And it's a situation we are in. We can't. There's no going out of it, but we need to try to get things to be better, right? So
yeah, it's important. I'm thinking about in-law relationships, and I remember after we got married,
right,
we went on a dinner with your mom. You have two moms, literally, right? Your biological mom, who loves you, take care of you, and you have another mom who also loved you and took care of you,
right? Yeah.
And we went out with her, and after we got married, she gave us some interesting. We were just having dinner.
Okay.
We're just talking, just having fun, and then
boom,
she just started talking about sex and giving us sex tips on sex.
Yeah.
But would you admit that the advice that she gave was real and was true?
Yeah, I mean,
good.
I'll give her that. It was really good advice. But let me be honest. In the moment, I actually wish the earth would probably crack open. Then I'll just vanish like that.
Yeah, it was awkward for you.
Yeah, because I was nowhere. Like, I'm not used to her speaking, about topics like that. But apparently, she counsels, couples and stuff in her church. So she seize the moments to give us like a 5-minute marriage counseling.
Just seize the moment, started talking.
Yeah,
we're done. Okay, but I was smiling all the way because it was interesting. But anyway, that was good. So we are talking about first impressions. Let's talk about first impressions. When you meet your in-laws for the first time, I think it's important you consider how you present yourself to them, right? We're not saying be who you are not. We're only saying be mindful and be intentional, right? If the way you make an impression on your partner is important to you, I dare say that the way you make an impression on your in-laws or in-laws is equally important, right? Especially for the first one. It might not be just the first one, but the initial, the first couple of meetings they have or encounters they have with you. I think you have to be mindful of how you relate with them. Be yourself, but also should I say do the right thing?
Yeah, you know, it's well, when you started talking about this, it's not a story. It happened to a friend of mine, a female friend of mine. So she brought her boyfriend to see her dad, and you know, this was somewhere Osu in Ghana, and when the guy came, the father said, no, can I offer you anything? And he was like, beer is fine, right?
Oh my word.
So
okay.
the father obviously has nothing, you know, against drinking beer or anything like that. Well, he himself doesn't drink beer, okay, but he doesn't hold anything against anyone who drinks beer. But he was like, first time you're meeting me and you're asking for, like, you know, beer. So, and that was it. And because of that, like, the relationship actually didn't work.
No way.
Because the father was not in support. He was like, this guy, if he can do this, and like, so that's like first impression. This
you
is
know,
how
I think we need to set the context for our listeners and our viewers. Every culture is different, right? In the culture that we come from, you would not usually go to an elderly person, someone who is older than you, even to the extent of someone you intend to marry or someone you're going out with, and you go to their house and then maybe the parents ask you what to offer you, and then you ask for alcoholic drink or liquor. It's just not the usual thing, right? It just raises eyebrow. Even if they drink alcohol, you drink alcohol, it's just not the usual thing. They might have different, you know, kind of opinion about you.
And that's why I was saying he had nothing against that, but as you said, in our culture, there are certain things you can do on your own, but you don't do when you are you know, in the presence of like, you know, the elderly people and so on. So you'd have to be sensitive to the cultural dynamics when we are relating with in-laws, because in a lot of cultures, respect is very important, because I mean we'll talk about in-laws when they have sibling in-laws, like sister-in-law, brother-in-law, but in this case I'm talking about like the parents like mother-in-law, father-in-law, everyone. There should be some sort of mutual respect, so we have to be sensitive of those cultural dynamics as well.
I want to say, I want to bring this angle to it. So would you say, for instance, if this person that came from a background that does not mind doing that, he would also be confused that, okay, what did I do wrong? You know? So I think that it behoves on your partner, whose family you're going to visit or whose family you're meeting for the first time, to also sort of like
coach you a bit, or give you some tips.
Like, okay, my family is like this, like I want you to make the best of impressions, I want you to be yourself. However, I feel that we should hold on, or we should hold off on one or two of this so that they don't have the wrong impression. Okay, so would you agree?
No,
that
I would agree, certainly. So that's why. So if you're going to see your in-laws for the first time, guys, it's very important. The first impressions, like, they really last, because it sticks with people, and unfortunately it's so difficult to sometimes undo what you've already done. So get some coaching from your partner, and this will also carry on through, like, probably your whole life, because there are certain situations where I might, if it has to do with your mom or your siblings, relating with them, if I'm not sure about certain things, I need to, you know, ask you about it, and we need to be, you know, in agreement on how we deal with these things.
Good. So I just want to say, are we also saying in this instance that you gave, unfortunately the relationship didn't go on, and I don't know whether it was just because of that and that did not agree, but don't you think that it can be remedied, like something like that? Of course, first impression, we are not saying that it's the, you know,
well, it can be remedied. Unfortunately, it was not, it was not salvageable at that point. Like, because there are some fathers or mothers who are so, like, when they decide or they say no to something, it's a very, some are really strong with that, and depending on how convincing the lady was as well, because obviously the lady could have convinced the father, that he's a good guy and so on, but
look beyond that.
yeah, maybe she also didn't see it.
It's possible.
Yeah,
It's possible.
yeah.
It's possible.
Definitely, this is something that can be turned around. Yeah.
Yeah. So, in love relationships, you know that it can be challenging sometimes. We hear of people, we watch, movie scenarios, and some of these movies are based on real life, and we know friends, we know family, we know people who, the in-law relationship becomes very dicey.
Right.
Like, just give an example, like in this case, right? If there are so many of us or so many of you out there, we know, like, your parents or your family probably did not agree to the marriage, and you went ahead, and maybe over the years they are okay with you because you're their family and they can't do anything about it, but the other person now becomes sort of the outsider. And then that is one challenge, and there are other scenarios of challenging in-law relationship, but this is one challenge. And so in this situation, then what do you do? The relationship is tense, is not flowing, but then you have with this person, you are married to this person.
Yeah.
So what do you do about that?
That can always be a challenging one, and it's I see it takes work from both sides.
Both sides, as in the in-laws and the...
like, so in let's say a situation, if it's the man and the woman, and if the woman's family don't really see eye to eye with the man, it will take work from the man and as well as the woman as well, because then she would have to gradually make the family members get to like, let me use the word like, and I mean, it's something that they have to deal with, because at the end of the day, it's really nice when your mother-in-law can be like a mother to you, might not be as close as their own child, but it's very important that two of you get together. So if it's you need some kind of counseling or
someone to step
in, or if you and I have seen this a couple of times where I've heard stories where most of the time you realize that the mother or father-in-laws are more like, I won't say stubborn, but they mean like you're married to my child, so then you are expected to make the first move, right?
That is quite true.
And it's just like in any relationship, sometimes you have to be the fool. You don't always have to be like the wise person in arguments and so on. So in that situation, you need to know that having a healthy relationship with the in-laws, it gives you peace of mind. It makes you know that you are supported, and the person whom you are living with or making life with has the blessings from the parents.
But
so on,
I also want us to recognize that there will be some in-laws you just might not get along with. Right. So I'm just thinking about how to navigate such a relationship, because maybe you've tried everything, is just not working. Right. For me, I would say that the only thing I would hope for in such a situation is that the person whose family is not, getting along with you. For instance, if party A's family is not getting along with party B, party A needs to make sure that their loyalties are in the right place, because it can get tricky.
Right.
You know, this is my spouse, this is my family. They are not getting along.
Yeah.
Who am I loyal? How do I split my loyalty? Like when it comes to it, right? And I hope that there wouldn't be any situation where you really have to choose
Yeah.
between your own family, you know, your biological family or whatever family you grew up with,
Yeah.
and the person you are married to, because it can be very dicey.
Yeah, true.
And I pray, I don't want to say there is a straightforward way to go about it, but like you said, if you do not know how to go about it, find someone who is more experienced. Hopefully you can trust and wiser.
Yeah.
You know, and you are sure that they will not take sides. They will give you what is best for your marriage and for your family, what is best for peace and unity, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes we can have peace with disagreements, you know. We can disagree and still have peace.
Yeah,
Okay, so that is what is important.
Yeah.
Let's disagree, but maintain the peace.
Maintain peace. Yeah. That's sometimes, as you said,
It is what it is.
It's the same thing. But yeah, it's like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you just live. You know, we need to live at peace with everyone. But even in normal relationships, friends, not every person will like you.
Yes.
Not every person will be so nice to you all the time. So sometimes we just go with it.
Go with it. With it.
So like to think about it, like, so this loyalty thing, then it means that I personally think, you know, you and your partner, your husband, you always need to be seen as a united front. Like, because when you are seen as one, as it should be, like if you and I are united, it will be actually a bit difficult for my family to sort of try to find out who am I loyal to, my wife, or because if we are united, you don't even need to ask. We are one. So if
you're pointing fingers at me or her, you're pointing fingers. It's us.
It's both of us. So that's something that. If you appear to be united, and this comes in a certain form. Let's get practical. Like you have a situation where someone, like let's say us, we discuss something, and then I give my opinion, you give yours, but then we both agree to go with what I said, right? And then when you're going to tell your parents, you make them know that you were not really in agreement, but I insisted.
Oh no, he said, you know, I go to my and say, you know, about this issue, Kingsley said we should do this.
Yeah. So by doing that alone, it's like you've already, you know, there's a little bit of betrayal there, because they have to know that the decision came from us, you know, and when we do that, no one will sort of try to find out, you know, where my loyalties lie. They already know where it does. I know that you may have lived with your family for a long time, but Bible say you need to leave and cleave. So that there's a meaning to that. That's the new normal. Yeah.
And I remember you used to say something like, for instance, if you're single, maybe this will be good for you. You used to tell me that sometimes when a family does not like, you know, the person you bring home to introduce or something,
right?
Sometimes it means the one who, you know, introduced their partner did not put in the work to let the family see the best of his or her partner.
Yeah.
If you bring your partner to meet your family, make sure you are saying good things about your partner, because you know your partner. They don't know this person.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
For instance, like, we're talking about first impression. For you and I, we were friends. My mother knew you. But then, after so many years, because we did not date or court, you know, we sort of went our separate ways. Everybody, you know, he dated people. I also, you know, went out with people. And So my mother did not see you again.
Yeah.
Even though I did not tell my mother that I wasn't going out with Kingsley, she knew, okay, this gentleman is coming around. They are, sitting, talking, going out and doing stuff.
Yeah.
Then she doesn't see you anymore.
Yeah.
And then after so many years, then I tell her that, okay, Kingsley and I are going to get married. She's like, hey, what are you talking about?
Yeah, where did I come from?
haven't
Yeah.
seen this gentleman for years.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not that he was still around and I wasn't saying anything. It's just that we're friends, but dating and courtship did not happen. And then so when he came back with us and I told him, she wasn't having it. But then I had to explain to her that he wasn't around because I did not accept his proposal.
Yeah.
But this time round, I have, and I have to let my mom see that this is the one for me and explain.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, just to chip in this, sometimes you see, our parents, most of them, I dare say, they want the best for us. No parent wants the child to have the worst. And so sometimes when we've heard of so many situations where you introduce your partner or your spouse to be and they are not having it. I have a friend who countless,
Right.
that happened with, but if you just give them some time, just give them some time, make sure you keep saying what you see about your partner to them, right? Because obviously, probably you've known your partner more closer than they have.
Yeah, that's
You've been in situations, you've had conversations, intimate conversations that you probably can't share with them. But the things that you will be good for you in your relationship with them, let them see it, talk about it, and give them some time. Don't pressure them, okay? And sometimes I also see people who say, I insist if you accept or not. Give them some time.
Yeah.
After all, they do want the best for you. And you want them to have your side so that, not that you will have, the worst of challenges, but when you need advice and support, you know that they will be there with you. So it's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so sometimes as well, like you have some of the things that could, create a bit of challenges here and there between us and in-laws, as we said earlier, could be cultural. Like if you get married to someone from a completely different culture, then you have to also be ready to learn some of the nuances of the person's culture. I was watching this Nigerian movie and I think it's Igbo and Yoruba. The guy was going to marry a lady from an Igbo lady. If I don't, maybe I might be, swapping the different tribes. But then the mother was like, Igbo lady. But if I wake up one day and then she says, good morning, ma, and she doesn't lie down while saying it,
she doesn't prostrate,
we'll have a problem. So she's thinking in her mind, like, in my culture,
this is what we do.
Yeah, the child or the little one or the younger person greeting the elderly one has to prostrate when they are greeting, but in that person's culture, it's not like that. So when she said that,
good morning, ma'am.
I was like, wow, that's a little bit petty, but not. Then later I thought about that. I was like, not really. It might some of these things are very important to people, right? So what? And again, like, and I might be thinking that, but this is nothing. And it's because of like our generation. So those are also cultural and generational differences, right? So we have to, be aware of that.
Yeah, and you made a point that it might seem trivial to you, but to the person, imagine something that is important to you, a value or a tradition that you have, that you hold dearly to your heart, and then someone is just downplaying it. You see how disrespected you would feel if you are in that person's shoes. So cultural differences are what they are, okay? Even when we come from, like Kinsley and I, we are from the same, mother culture, like we are all Akans, right?
Yeah.
But then you are Wasa, I am like more fancy, right?
Yeah.
My mom is from Central region and you're from Western region. And so there are certain nuances, right? Thankfully, we are from the same tribe. And so, for instance, in our culture, when there is a big event, especially like a funeral, you know,
that's
especially like a funeral, my family expects that Kinsley's family would represent, So, for instance, my grandmom passed away, and Kinsley's family came to that funeral to support my family. And when Kinsley's grandmom also passed away, my family also went to represent. Okay, so this is important. And in some other cultures, they will be wide-eyed about this, that why it's not even a direct kind of relationship, it's not even my mother, it is my grandmom, and then my family or I am expected to be there, so you have to. And then I would say that some of these things might not come up when you're getting to know each other before you get married. Let's be real. Okay, you don't know all there is to know about the person's background and everything. You might know some major things, some important things. So when these things come up later, the most important thing is, let's do everything that makes this family, makes this marriage work. How can I humble myself?
It takes humility to do this.
It really takes humility, because okay, I didn't know that this is what your family does and blah. But hey, this is the family you have married into. Remember, we were saying beyond us. Okay, beyond the two of us, there are a whole other people I'm connected to. I came from somewhere. I didn't just show up out of the vacuum.
Exactly.
Someone gave birth to me. Someone brought me up. A community, a village raised me, and I'm connected to them in one way or the other. Okay, so when these people I'm connected to are making placing a demand on me in one way or the other, and that demand, I recognize it and I receive it and it's important to me, then he would also see how best he can support me. Because if we believe that we are one, we are united, and something is important to me, it will, and it has to be important to him as well. Right.
Exactly. And and I was also thinking, in as much as we are talking about, like, having a good relationship with in-laws, parents-in-law, siblings-in-law, it's also important that sometimes we also establish certain boundaries.
Okay, just before we talk about boundaries, hold that thought. Just before we talked about cultural differences, right? Sometimes there is also generational. You mentioned it, and I just want us to elaborate a little bit on that before we move on. Generational differences. And it's real, guys. Like, it's real. Because, like, one example that comes, top of my head is maybe how we raise children. Parenting.
That's always a big topic.
Because sometimes, like, your in-laws or in-laws, let's just stick to that. Okay, in-laws might be sharing with you how they raised their kids, how they raised your partner. My side would also be sharing with me, and how do we bring everything in and also have our own voice in there, okay? Because let's be real, you don't always agree with what your in-laws are sharing with you, right? But how do you receive it so that they also feel honored, okay? You can disagree with someone without dishonoring them, okay? Don't say, okay, you did it this way, I'm not going to do it that way. Hey, it's a new world, it's a modern world. We do things
Yeah.
differently, and then rub it in their face. They did bring you up anyway, or they did bring your spouse out anyway. Okay, no matter the mistakes that they did, they are not perfect, but it's important to honor them. You can just listen and take out what works for your family.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
it
that's-
doesn't hurt. And you know, the funny thing is, if you just throw it back in their face, they might keep quiet, maybe not necessarily out of spite or
Yeah.
being vengeful of anything, but they are like, okay, if you don't want my,
Yeah.
counsel or advice, you can go
Yeah. Yeah.
have it your way. But they might know something, because hey, experience is gold. Okay, experience is gold. They might know something that will be so valuable to you, you don't know when it will come up.
Yeah.
So give them the space to say what they want to say. And then, there is one thing I also wanted us to talk about before. Okay, yeah, let's just talk about the
Well, the
boundaries. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, I was thinking, you'd have to. There are certain things like your sisters or your brothers may want to ask me something, but it is only because I'm related to them through you, and they've become my family now. There are certain things that you would prefer that they will, ask you, and then we talk about it together. Because regardless, whatever we do, we're going to do it together.
Together, yeah.
Right? So, because sometimes like the relationships can we can make it too close that the boundaries become blurred, and then in-laws are relating too close to the it has to be, I don't know how to put this, it has to be
Yeah.
close, but you have to also know that there are certain things that shouldn't come to your in-law directly. It has to go through who they are actually related to. I don't know if you
Yeah, I
see
think
my
that
point.
boundaries are important. Every relationship needs boundaries.
Yeah.
Okay, so that people's privacy and space is also respected.
Yeah.
Because for instance, any of our in-laws cannot just decide one day without asking or without telling any of us to, and then they are here. Of course they can come around anytime they want,
Yeah.
but then come and then decide to be here indefinitely.
Yeah.
Then you don't give your in-laws, which is your children, also the space to be themselves, right? And to grow their little family, the way that they want to, so those are some of the boundaries that, okay, you're welcome here every time, but
Yeah.
please kindly let me know when you want to come around and how long you want to stay. Of course, unless there is no one else to take care of your in-law, and then maybe they are incapacitated, or that's a different story. That's
those
not
are
what we're saying.
special circumstances,
Yeah, those are exemptions. But we're saying that these are boundaries for your children to have their, private lives and their, family, and then live their lives together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's important as well. For example, for instance, like I can, my mother-in-law, she won't even, she doesn't even do that. She will not just say, "Hey, come and wash my stuff for me." Like, it's just awkward,
Yeah.
Like something that is a wild example I'm just throwing out there to say the boundaries. Some boundaries are implied, and it's like we all know, okay, we are not going to, but some boundaries have to be communicated.
Yeah.
Because they are not in your head, and they don't know what you will accommodate and what you would not.
You would
so
not, yeah.
if you think that it is getting too uncomfortable, some things are getting too uncomfortable, you talk to your spouse. And I think that one good way of doing that is maybe, of course, if you are close to your in-law and you think you have the
Rapport.
yeah, that kind of, relationship to say whatever you want to say. But I think it will be nicer, and it might hold more easier for them if their child comes to them, or
Yeah, exactly,
their own family comes to them. So for instance, if you want to communicate a boundary to my family, it will be easier if I am the one to communicate it to them, because I probably know them more than you, and so I would know how to package the message well so that they still feel respected and loved.
And to be expected that when you communicate to them, you don't say that Kingsley doesn't like this, or
we have agreed.
Yeah, so you sometimes it's easier when you say it like it's coming from you actually.
Yeah.
Sometimes certain things need to feel like they come from you to become a lot easier.
Exactly.
So that they can take it easily.
Exactly. And so we'll be closing out very soon. So we have talked about a lot of the different dynamics. We haven't touched on everything, but we have given some general idea, and we want you guys to put in the comments the kind of interesting family dynamic and in-law dynamics that you have had and how you have navigated. Remember, maybe your story will be like a wisdom pearl to someone somewhere who is really having a hard time with their peculiar situation, and might give the person a way out, a brilliant way out. One other way I think that when it comes to in-law relationship is to intentionally build the relationship with them. Be intentional about it. The same way that you are intentional with your spouse. If you want a good in-law relationship and it's important to you, I believe it is, you have to also put in the effort, effort, intentionality with it. Build memories with them, for example, if you can go on a trip together with them, a short trip together with them, if it's possible, try it. Okay. If you can go on, you have outings with them sometimes. If you can make that time, try it. Try to build intention. Seasonal greetings. Pick up the phone,
those are important,
call them, check up on them. How are you doing, mommy? How are you doing, daddy? The siblings, just check up on them once a while. Just to know that, hey, I haven't taken your child or your sibling away. We are still part of this family. I am part of your family now. Okay. And what you care about, I care about. And build memories with them, Yeah.
I think we've gone through some of the challenges, and it's I'd want to also say that the situations, every situation is kind of unique,
quite,
but sometimes the tools that you need to deal with them can be general tools, like open communication, as you said,
respect,
the boundaries, and coming together as a united front. So I'm just mentioning things that my takeaways from our discussion, and that you need to actually pursue the relationship. Sometimes you have to put in an extra effort. So building the memories is also very important. Mother's Day, why not send a message to your mother-in-law?
It's just thoughtful. Just be thoughtful.
It's not it's like the cheapest thing. It's not expensive to send a Mother's Day message, so
Father's Day as well.
But these are some of the things that makes a good impression on them.
I just thought of something. Sometimes even your spouse does not have a good relationship with their own family.
Right.
Okay. And who knows, maybe through you, the love that you extend to them, the love that you help your partner extend to them, might help all of you reconcile and have a beautiful family together. Okay. So love trumps all. Love covers a multitude of errors, a multitude of sin. So if you walk in love, it might not be received, but you can be sure that it will let peace reign in our families and in our relationship. Yeah.
So let us know.
Go ahead.
Let us know how it goes with your relationships with in-laws going forward, and let us know some of your experiences as well. It's been a wonderful discussion.
It will be great. We've had a wonderful time. We pray and we hope that you have taken one or two things that will be. Please let us have your comments and what you think about all that we have said. Yes.
Awesome. Then I guess we'll just lay this one here, and certainly see you in the next episode.
See you in the next one. Have a lovely one.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Life on Stereo. We hope you found our conversation insightful and inspiring.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, share, or leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback means the world to us.
Do well to follow us on all our social media platforms. See you in the next episode.